at 6:15 on March 8th. And can we start with a roll call?
This is Dottie Durst.
Patty?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dottie.
Go ahead, Dottie. What?
Roll call, Sean.
I said Sean, I'm here.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay.
Okay.
Stuart.
Stuart, are you there?
Stuart Beasley is here. So we, is Crystal here? Or,
Yeah, Crystal is muted. So
Okay,
I know
so-
Anthony's going to be taking over for her, I'm pretty sure.
okay, so we, starting on the
Good.
note,
It's recording.
good. So next order of business is appointment of alternates and discussion of new membership. Tina, you said you spoke to Charles Cady.
Yes. Well, first of all, Victor Peabody has officially resigned. I did get a letter from him, so that will be going through shortly. And then I did speak with Charlie Cady, who had interest in coming on board. I sent him out the form, but I haven't had a chance to follow up with him. So we're hoping that he will come on board. And then Frank Ola was supposed to, but I'm not sure that that's happening now. But yeah, if anybody knows, I mean, and you were mentioning reaching out to the business association.
Yeah, and I think that as soon as we can demonstrate to people that there's a dynamic of potential interest, that they'll want to join, and so we just have to demonstrate that what we're doing here is pretty interesting, and I think that's going to just take a little bit of time because it is interesting. So the thing about the Woodstock Business Association is that you can directly reach out to all the members that are constantly showing up, but maybe once we get this email marketing started, and we'll have to check in with Crystal on where that is, but we can start canvassing that way as well. But that'll come up a little bit later in the meeting. But it's important for us because I think that, even though there's only a questionable circumstance every time we have a meeting, if we can get more consistency, then we'll be able to produce more results. And that will be the incubator for more members to want to join in. Any other comments on that?
Mr. Chairman, this is Dottie. I'm noticing that our agenda does not have a place on it for other or for community comments, but it appears we have a guest. I'm wondering if we can modify our agenda and see if we can entertain what our guest would like to talk to us about.
Well, we've got citizens' comments.
Well, it's like an hour from now.
We go pretty fast, but yeah, we could start that. We could work it on the. So you want to introduce the citizens' comments earlier as opposed to later in the meeting?
Yeah.
You want to make a motion? Want to make a motion to move it?
I will if you want.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to modify the agenda. And I'll make the motion to move item 8, citizens' comments other, up to become the new item 4.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
All right.
Okay, so we've moved that. We'll move that over from 8 to 4. And chair's comments will go to 5 or 3.
It will become 5 now,
Okay,
because we just did 3, the appointment of alternates and discussion of new members.
okay. So now we can address the people that are attending. if you'd like to speak up and speak to your mind, tell us what's going on.
Hi, y'all. I am Jessica Weaver Booth. Hi, Tina.
Hi.
I don't think we've ever met in person. I am the current sort of new owner of the building at the corner of 171 and 169. That was last an antique shop, and for my generation, it's known as the Christian Bookstore. And we bought it. Today's the 8th. We closed on it a year ago on the 10th, and with dreams of turning it into a cafe eventually. And then the world shut down, and
Hmm.
and especially the restaurant businesses have struggled. So it's been backburnered with the pandemic, and then a few months ago we started to do some basics of having the land surveyed, figuring out the real borders of both that and the house next door we bought also. Learned a lot of what we thought were our borders are not what we thought. Also learned that the survey is not complete, but from initial discovery, there is a corner of the building is owned by the state. Yeah, that's that.
You're in the
phase.
you're in the setback? You're in the 5-foot setback range?
It looks like it.
Okay.
Yeah, so the front of the building, I mean, right?
If
Is
you're
state.
existing non-conforming, Jessica, you should be okay.
Depends on the hardship.
Well,
Right.
as
So
far, I
Anyway,
mean,
Anyway.
she's
well,
concerned as far as the state, we haven't addressed it through zoning. You're right, Sean, it is a grandfather kind of situation, but I'm not sure what
What the
she's
state's
referring
gonna
to as far
apply
as the
on her.
state goes. I don't know.
Mhm,
What
mhm.
did they tell you, Jessica?
what did who?
Did you speak to anyone from the state concerning this, or?
I have not.
Okay.
In part because the survey wasn't complete, but I don't know even who I would turn to talk to. And Sean, I didn't hear the last thing that you said.
That it's existing non-conforming, so, I mean, as far as the town goes, you should be okay. I mean, I'm giving you, yeah, it's direct advice, honestly, listen. Maybe I should be more political, but yes, it's definitely existing non-conforming, so you should be able to get through. But I don't know the state. Tina, I didn't think they can they create more rules on her?
I don't
Really?
think so. I don't think so. I mean, once the survey is completed, I obviously would like to see it, but
I don't think they can, because you're not building anything new. It's
Right.
existing. As long as you don't make the condition worse than it is, then I wouldn't freak out about it.
right.
That's all I can say, Jessica. Honestly, you have a win because you're closer to the road, so you can take that to your full advantage. But that's that's how about that? That's my business owner advice.
I don't understand why that's a win. Explain to me. I've never been a business owner, so
Well,
learning.
because if you're closer, you have more land area. That's a really tight lot, right? So you can't really
Yeah.
build onto it in the back. You can't build onto it on the sides. You can't build onto it in the front. So
Correct.
you've maxed. If you were to pull a permit today, there's no chance you'd be able to build that porch. Okay, there's no
Right.
chance.
Right.
There's no chance that you'd be able to build the fire escape that's on the side of the building going down it either. And then by not building a fire escape, you'd go out of code and have to do a whole nother staircase. So it's really important that you take those and you renovate them so that they stay existing non-conforming, not just rip them off the house.
Okay, I hear what you're saying now.
Good advice.
Sean, to tag on to what you're saying, another factor is that Sean is all correct about every bit of that. However, the parking has in the past come really close to that corner, and there's a chance that the state may not permit that. They may say that's too dangerous to park that, and they may ask you to put in diagonal lines to mark the corner as not a parking area. So be mentally prepared that that could come at you from the state. But the rest of what Sean said is correct, and I don't think the state's gonna have anything to say about it. And it is a non-conforming legally permitted previous use.
Yeah.
So parking obviously is a huge issue because as you just said, Dottie, there's no land with the building. I mean, it's on a little postage stamp. And the lot behind the house is deeded to give 5 spaces to the business during business hours. But it's a big building. And so we've talked and dreamed about a number of things. As I said, initially our thought was a cafe. My sister's a chef, and that's part of where that idea is coming. We know, that the upstairs floors have been apartments or rooms to let in the past. So that thought's been there. Office space to rent, there's a lot of different possibilities with it, but the building's in tough shape. And even I mean, in talking to Tina, I guess part of I felt like at least part of what she was encouraging me was to come here for more ideas of support from y'all and where I should be turning, how to move forward.
Jessica, I can't recall seeing any kind of ramp or handicap accessible entrance.
Correct. There
That's
isn't
something
any.
Okay, so that probably is something you will have to work out. Again, it's tight space. Do I recall correctly though, looking at the face of the building to the left, there is a driveway that goes back, and that's where your 5 parking spots are accessed, or are they
Correct.
accessed on the Route 171 side?
Both those driveways lead to the back. But yeah, the driveway that belongs to the building is the 169 one, that looking at it to the left.
Okay. So you need to be thinking how you can get your, required access engineered so it fits in a tiny space without removing any parking, without obstructing that driveway over there. So food for thought. It is difficult going from a bookstore / antique store to a food service operation. It's a pretty dramatic change of use. In Woodstock, it's considered a dramatic change of use. However, there's shades of meaning there. So a bookstore with a coffee bar is something that's pretty common all over the United States. So there's shades. Here I'm going with that. If
Yes.
you say we're going to put in a restaurant, now you're going to start from ground zero with the permitting process. If you say we're going to take the exact same use as previous and modify it a little, then you want to be really careful. Tina can work with you on that to put a proposal forward that you and your sister are comfortable with. That would be a starting point. After you find your business to be successful with, I think I heard you say you wanted to go back to some amount of antiques or shopping of some sort. After you find that part to be successful, you can always come back to planning and zoning, ask for a modification of your permit or get a special permit.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you with the shades of modification and such too.
Jess, are you asking, when you say advice, are you asking for like the viability of putting that business in there? Is that what you're asking? I mean,
Go on.
I'm a very numbers, black and white type of person, to be very honest, right? So my comment is that you should figure out what it would take to get the building to what you want it to be, and then you know, see what type of loan that would put you in on top of what you're currently in, and then see if it makes sense for your business. I mean, let alone just don't even imagine everything goes great with permitting and all the way through, and imagine it all goes well. Let's ignore the timeline and just make sure that it actually, you know, that the numbers in the background still make sense. And Dottie's recommendation of doing a coffee shop with a bookstore, admittedly compared to changing to an entire restaurant, is a much more approachable cost standard than switching to a brand new commercial kitchen. Just, I mean, if you're asking for a blatant, I don't want to, you know, get too much in.
No, that's, I hear what you're saying. I understand the approach you're recommending, and it's appreciated. In part, I mean, Tina and I were talking about parking issues and thoughts before the other day. So, but I hear you saying, you know, just figure out all the numbers first and then.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to like Engineered Construction or some other commercial builder in our area that would be into it. That's what I would go to figure out my cost of everything, really. I mean, that's me.
I would advise going to an architect, and I don't know any that,
Thank you, Stuart, for that good idea.
but they would help you identify what the parameters are. And a lot of it depends on your budgeting and scheduling. I think that would be a big factor in the discussion. But more important than that is what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and what the existing conditions are that will allow you to do what you want to do. So the first step is finish the survey. When the survey is completed, then you can start to write down a program for what your overall objectives are with you, and I guess your sister is the other owner. So then you can look at feasibilities of each possible scenario. But that's the key word there, is that you want to be able to study the feasibilities.
Right.
And your biggest obstacle is going to be the parking. But then second, you've got an existing structure that has to accommodate codes. And then you have to look at what the accessibility, fire safety, and health concerns are that will allow you to proceed. So, by the way, I'm an architect, so I have to recuse myself.
I was wondering when they all laughed.
Yeah, there was a reason.
So that's what I do. I generally propose to my clients that I will give 3 different possibilities, and I call them feasibility studies.
Well, he's
Okay.
dead on. He's dead on.
And then you've got A, B, and C to work with, and you can start, like Sean says, to break down the numbers. And once you have some of those parameters defined, it makes it a lot easier. So I mean, I don't know if is it a conflict for me to engage with helping you? I don't know, but I think we're just here to give you advice tonight. And you can certainly look around to find architects in the area that would do that. But typically that's a service that I offer, is I go out and do a zoning analysis first off to see what's allowed without having to go for a variance. And then do, you know, the basics like, well, what are we gonna do about this parking? And then, will that enable us to do what we want to do? And if not, what are the variables? Are there any ways we can navigate through that obstacle? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. Now, do you do interior also so that you look at the interior of a building and see again what's feasible with what's
Yeah.
there in the
So,
footprint?
so the first, what I would recommend is you, just like you're doing with the survey, you're outlining the boundaries and the location of the building on the boundaries and all those setback relationships to the road, access, egress, that kind of consideration is done, and quantifying what's there. But in addition, then you would go the next step and you want to basically take a survey of the building because there probably aren't drawings. So you take measurements and you draw up the building, and then, you've got an inventory of what you can work with. And then you can start to assign costs. For example, if you wanted to do interior remodeling for a kitchen that was commercial, that's going to be a different cost than a residential kitchen.
Right.
And along that same line, Jessica, Shauna, do I say Shauna? I see your name down there.
Yes, yes.
Right now, I've never been inside the building, so I don't know the answer. But if you did have a bookstore or a shop of any kind, you would be required to have a bathroom. But you don't have to have 2 bathrooms. If you have a food service operation, now you're required to have a whole different kind of bathroom and 2 of them. As well, Shauna, as you know, in your kitchen area, you have to have mandated hand sinks and all kinds of other stuff, and all that's going to take geography. Then on top of that, for a food service operation, there's no place for customers. So you might want to start out thinking about, because you have 2 buildings there, just because one right now is a home doesn't mean it always has to be a home. Perhaps that layout could be, because it's all on, assuming a lot of it's on 1 floor, perhaps in the future, you might say, oh, we'll make the home into a restaurant and we'll convert the corner building into some professional office space and take retail entirely, who knows? So you have options because you have 2 buildings and you have parking in the back. So I'm going to change the subject now and just mention to you that the upstairs residential space is very valuable. That is not something, Tina, did they change the regulations about that? There was a lot of time when a building, new use could not have a non-residential use and a residential use put in new. That building already has it. It's an
Right.
established residential upstairs. So whether you keep it that or you turn it into professional office space in the future, doesn't matter. But the point is, having residential use upstairs established gives you the advantage of being able to, even if it takes some work up there, to be able to lease or rent that space to a residential tenant, and that's a little bit of cash flow for you, or in the future, convert it over to some other use.
What happened with the general store? I thought that had an apartment put in.
Which general store?
The new one in West Woodstock.
Yes,
It's going to,
that-
yes, it's going to, right.
but that is a modification of a special permit that was already in place. So,
Okay. So it's
I
not
mean,
as.
I think with what she's doing, we wouldn't, if we're trying to avoid having her to come to planning and zoning for the special permit process,
Right.
there's a
Okay.
way to make this flow into just the non-residential permit. It's going to be a lot easier. So if she continues a similar kind of use that's been there, it's going to be a lot easier.
And much faster too.
Yes.
Couple 2 or 3 planning and zoning meetings and that will go through, but the special permit process can take a year. So
Cool.
you better just start off with some use that's amenable to what was there previously and later modify it a little bit and give modifications in the future if you need to.
Yeah.
And just a question along those lines, Dottie, since you mentioned the home next door, I've been told that was once used as a building, as a business
Oh,
building.
okay.
Does anybody know that history?
I
Okay.
don't know. I know I
Okay.
always admired the sign out front. Do you know about the sign out front?
I don't.
You know, isn't that the one that had the chalkboard out front with the memo all
Yes.
the time? Yeah, that's
Yes.
a really important piece of local culture. We all know about that. We drive by and we'll look at the little words of the day.
Yeah.
And it might be the case that it previously had a non-residential use. So again, that would be ideal for you to be able to capitalize on short-term or long-term, because that's what the Planning and Zoning Commission can move fairly rapidly on. A home occupation is one they can move fairly rapidly on. And a new small business is something they can move fairly rapidly on if it's already an established location for a small business.
Okay. That is all very good.
So I think what you came here for is for us to say, yes, we will support you. And I think you've got the vibe. Yes, we will support you.
Yes.
Not only that, but you got the trifecta. You got an architect, a builder, and a zoning expert. Two zoning.
Not so much, not so much. I think people in Woodstock will welcome whatever you're going to try to do. And our small business community is really important to us. Are you living in Woodstock now?
Yes, we're actually in the home next door.
Oh, great. Okay, so then you've been here a year then or more.
Right.
Okay, well, welcome to Woodstock. And the other small businesses that are near that intersection are under transition right now. Scranton Shops, no, apparently that's stable. But where the Java Jive used to be, I'm not sure what's going to happen over there, and where Rusty Relic was. I'm not sure what's going to happen back there. Maybe Tina knows, but there's
Yeah,
that
Java
intersection.
Jive is being renovated currently. They're looking to open up once this COVID thing passes.
Okay, great. Well,
So
that will
they're-
be good news. And
They're
there's two other,
renovating.
there's two other non-residential uses in that same building.
Yeah.
And then next door to your location, Jessica and Shauna are some other non-residential uses too.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
so
That
it will be a nice finishing touch to get that corner up and active all over again.
So Tina, you mentioned when we talked the other day about is there discussion of a sidewalk going in?
The academy had talked about, having a sidewalk from the north campus to the
North to
south,
south.
but I'm not quite sure where that is. It
wouldn't
might be,
Count on it happening quickly. That's all.
no, it's probably not gonna be, that would be great if, kids could walk, have a safe place
Yeah.
to walk between,
walk
and then
anyway.
you're in a great location.
Well, right, because they do it. They walk anyway. They walk from north to south
Mhm.
already. It would just,
Sidewalk.
it would make a sidewalk would make it so much more accessible, and it would mean people other than kids would do it. I was asking because I guess the question is, who is pursuing that, or because it would serve all of the businesses everywhere from the Apple Barn all the way down to Black Walnut. Isn't that what it's called? The new place?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, the new place.
Um,
Well, I can check in and find out where we're at. Delia Fay is still our town planner at Northeast Council of Governments. Perhaps she has information that I don't, and I'll be happy to look into that.
yeah, I was just, like I said, it sounds fantastic to me as a potential business owners, and
Yeah.
it would also, I think, serve families. And one thing with COVID is more people have been doing more walking. So
Yeah. True.
So yeah, it would be a good thing. All right, I just wanted to check.
Yeah.
I think that's really good for right now. It was nice meeting you all. Stuart, you might hear from me again
Okay,
real soon.
anytime.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can look, is it a conflict of interest, Dottie, for me to help? No, it shouldn't be, right?
I think it is not, Stuart. Don't forget, on planning and zoning, Doug Porter has served on the commission for years, a local builder, as are you, Sean, and it was never considered to be any kind of a conflict. When a decision had to be made, though, at planning and zoning, Doug Porter would have to recuse himself and
Right.
go out. He couldn't
Right,
participate
okay.
or vote, but no, it wasn't considered. He has lots of customers who turned out to be planning and zoning applicants.
All right,
Mm-hmm.
you can find my information on stuartpeasley.com.
All right, thank you.
Okay, nice to
Glad to
talk.
meet you both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Nice to-
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Next order of business, chair's comments, right?
Yes,
Okay, so it's been a couple months since we met, but one of the discussions was to pursue the outreach by phone because setting up the email process is a little more daunting. We're still working on that email, and I think that at some point it'll get going. But Dottie had a great suggestion would be to call existing business association, Woodstock Business Association members to find out if there were any events coming up in their calendar, like a anniversary or anything that they would be interested in celebrating. But that kind of discussion would open the door for other things that are relevant. And so that's a very good technique, I think, for opening conversations. And that's really what we should be striving for is the communication. And following that, we would be able to identify the EDC as a resource for businesses in town. That's very effective, just like the conversation we just had. If we can start to do that consistently,
Mhm.
People will call in and people will look at us as a resource. Word will get around. And I think that,
You are fabulous resources, all of you. We're very, very lucky to have all of you. Thank you.
We just have to, market that. And I think it's helpful for everyone because even it's just going to generate more business for everybody, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
it can. I'm just gonna ask if anybody knows why Paul Miller was logged in and then why it looks like now he's not here. Could have been Diane too. I don't know which one it was. No.
Oh, right, true. She was here a couple months ago.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Diane? Tina, you don't know that the Millers were here for any particular reason.
No, I think they just like to have, their finger
Yep.
on the pulse and see what's
Yes, that's
going
right.
on. They do attend a lot of the other town meetings, so.
Yep, I know. Okay, good. I didn't want to like favor one person who was a guest tonight and, shun the other one who was a guest. Hopefully they didn't take it that way, whoever it was. So, yeah, Stuart, you're right. I think the more outreach there is to our local business community, the stronger EDC will be viewed as, and then will be called on to be helpful. So it's kind of like a spiral. One kind of bumps the other one and bumps it up and bumps it up.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It just grows. It grows other businesses. And that's what we want to do. I've heard.
Well, I'll keep connecting people your way. So I think that's the best thing. Gets people involved and want to be part of the community, as you connect them with all the great resources that we have. It's good to start out with you guys because then, I think it's less scary when they have to go to planning and zoning and, hear all the things that maybe they don't want to hear. And it
Right.
gets a little frustrating. So I think it's nice to start with you guys that are pro and helping people, and then then you go to the more strict rules side of things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Tina, because it's just, it can be prohibitive. It can be like,
Yeah.
why would anybody want to go into business if you have to face all the adversity? It's just,
Exactly.
I think once Jessica and Shauna see what it's going to take, even for the most basic code for that building, parking for that building, even the most basic things, they're gonna have quite a bit to handle, never mind uses for the building.
Yeah,
True.
That's gonna be a real challenge right there, I think. Sean was kind of nodding as we went along that, yeah, oh, ouch.
I was,
I'm just gonna interrupt everybody and ask if we're gonna get unplugged at 7 o'clock. That has happened before.
no, we're not.
No, I have a couple things I need to
Anthony
be
here,
sure we
yeah.
get done. Hello?
It's Anthony here. Yeah, at 7, I have to start our rec commission meeting.
Oh.
All right,
Well,
okay.
let
Then,
me
thank
hit-
you for
let me
letting
hit
us know. That's
let me hit
happened
the
to us
next
before.
one, Let me hit the farmer's market because I do have an update for.
Yeah,
for,
then I have a
Yeah.
couple things after that. So Sean,
Yeah.
I think we should do that.
That was-
So,
Point anyway, good.
yeah, so the farmer's market, I did reach out to the Woodstock Fair, and so I'd spoken, and to make it a short story, they were open to it. They were going to talk about it at, let's see, this was in January when we first brought it up. She said our next meeting she wasn't going to do it, and then the following meeting, hopefully, Patty Kelly, hopefully she was going to be able to get in and ask the question. So I haven't followed back up with Patty. I can give her a call, but she's told me that the big issue is that if we were to use the Woodstock Fair, regardless of rent or if that was happen, right, no matter what, they would probably want a bathroom attendant. They wouldn't let you just use those bathrooms. So that kind of breaks one of the reasons which made it so advantageous, the goal of the EDC not having to provide a bathroom and parking. So they've checked off one thing, parking, but not the other. So it's definitely still an option, and she's looking into it, and it would be great if everything works out. But that's my update from the Woodstock Fair on the farmers market.
Okay, so it's kind of a logistical thing regarding restrooms, which would be the case across the board. If there's hesitation there, I think there's the other options are which come to mind would be Chase Building Supply or Roseland Cottage or Taylor Brook would probably.
I mean, I think Roseland's your best bet there. They have public bathroom, they have public parking. The caretaker there is freaking spectacular. He's a wonderful man, and
Really?
yeah, he already does
Yeah.
sells stuff out of the farmers, little vegetables, and just lets people take it out of his extra on the gardens as it is. I mean,
Do you want to call him, Sean, or do you want?
I do not have his phone number, Tina.
I have it.
He's a really nice
Sorry,
guy.
I didn't catch who you're talking about.
Rick Harless, right? Rick?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
I
it.
have his number.
I needed that jog. Thank you, Tina.
Yeah, no problem. Glad I could be of assistance.
Dottie, we're
Yeah,
talking about
they're
Roseland
fabulous.
Cottage.
I'm sorry, say it again, Sean. Let's do it.
Roseland Cottage.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Would that have good accessibility for like a tractor, not a tractor trailer, but a truck and a trailer?
Yes.
Yes, you would
Okay.
use they call it the carriage shed. It does have public bathrooms, does have a ramp. Even if you're outdoors 100%, I'm sure they grant you access in the carriage shed to the space for storage of put stuff away and lock it up at night or whatever, and the bathrooms. I don't know if they charge, however, but yes, there is room for a tractor trailer. When they have an event at the Pink House, the heavy traffic goes down to the left of the carriage shed, and there's a big lot back there that's owned by the Historical Society. So that's where they park all the service vehicles for the Pink House craft event. So yeah, that would work. But you have to find out if they're going to charge a fee. The Grange, however, we spoke about as well. The Grange being visible, there is bathroom space inside of there, and right on Route 169.
Yeah, it's definitely an advantageous, Dottie. I agree.
Well, we can hit all three. We can talk to all four spots.
Well, Diane Miller is really one of the head people at the Grange, so that's what I was curious about, if it was Diane or Paul Miller who was here. But as far as I know, she's one of the the few remaining really active people at the Grange.
Okay.
Okay. So,
I can reach out to Rick if you want to tie that item up. I'll reach out to Rick.
all right, let's leave it like that then, and
I'll do that.
All right, I'll send you his number. I'll get that over to you.
meanwhile, I'm sort of like under the gun. I'm trying to think what we can do with the other three options. Do you want to talk to anyone at Chase as well, Sean?
Yeah, that's sure.
I hate to put all this on your shoulders, but
I
Dottie,
can help
talking
too
to-
if you want. I can
No,
help.
Talking to Chase is a non-issue.
all right.
That one worked.
Tina, you
Um, Are
want to
we all
talk to,
all set with the subject of the farmer's market for a minute? Because the plug's gonna get pulled on us, but I need to wedge something in.
go ahead.
We spoke, I don't know if it was December or January, about beginning some marketing to use up our remaining balance. And the woman who's in charge of marketing at the Villager has worked with me a little bit to say that for about $150 each, we can put ads in the Villager to promote our current business base. The vision I had that I shared with her would be, for example, 1 week, the ad would be all about the hidden surprise that we have in Woodstock of how many authors live and write in Woodstock. That's an under the radar business because they're home occupations. Another article or another ad would be farms that offer produce in the spring, summer, and fall. So that's the orchards, the corn places, and the CSAs. That'd be one ad. Another one might be a different category altogether. That's why I was looking for anniversaries, because that makes a really cool ad. They would look they'd be uniform. They would promote Woodstock small business, and it would feature the Economic Development Commission. So I need permission to move ahead with it so that I can work with the woman at the Villager to get the draft document done up. So I would like a motion that says we would like to put 4 ads in the Villager of approximately $150 each between April and June, promoting our small business community. Then after that, she and I can work on the details and I can email you the draft.
Okay, but that we've got, so that would be in our budget of $1,000 for the year.
Yeah, I think we have 700 left or something like that.
Yeah.
So the exact dollar amount doesn't have to be fine tuned right now. I just can't go ahead and even have her do a draft ad until I have authorization from from you guys. So if you
Okay.
want to go ahead and authorize it, then I can have her draw them up and can just say business X and here's what the text would say in business Y. It doesn't have to be finished, but I can't even go that far without that authorization.
Advertising for local businesses sounds like a great use of our funds. Do you want me to second it? Do you want me to propose it, Dottie? How would you
I
like
will
that?
make the motion and Sean will second. Okay,
That's it's easy. We should spend our money right now. We don't have a better use for it. It's an easy decision to make. I think.
well, that, and if as the year goes on, if we find we do have something, we just don't have to run the 4th ad. But by the way, we did send in our request for $1,200 in next year's budget. It is on the Board of Finance table at $1,200. That's an increase of $200. So whether they approve it or not, we don't know, but they do need evidence. So we're actually spending what we've got. So
Mhm.
I'll
Okay,
make sure it leaks out that we're
broke.
launching a marketing campaign in the Villager.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. So the motion is passed and we'll do that research.
All
Okay,
right,
great. I think we have just about enough time for me to squeeze in a motion to name our chairman for the current year. Stuart, may I please nominate you to be our chairman for the current year?
Sure.
Second.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Sean, you
Okay.
gonna let me nominate you as vice chair? Just nod, just nod. Thank you,
Yes.
Sean. He said yes. Stuart, you
second.
have to second that one.
I second that.
And
All those in favor?
I think it's unanimous.
Unanimous, yes.
We don't need a secretary. We're not required to have one. I've been taking notes and sending them in, so I'll just continue to do that. But we don't need to formalize that. And quick, before we get unplugged, is there anything else we have to squeeze in?
Can I
I
just
like
tell
the
you,
idea.
Sherwood's, can I just say one thing? Sherwood's is going to be putting an application in to have a little patio area for the spring, summer, fall season to the right side of their restaurant there. So that's coming up. So just, they may need a little support. They're going to modify their existing special permit for that.
And I just want to say to get it on the minutes, because I actually really love that idea of seeing if that walkway is actually a thing.
If
Because
what's the thing?
if the sidewalk is actually
Sidewalk.
a thing, because that, if you're talking about being good for local businesses and getting people in the town for a more useful space, I mean, it's a process that a million towns have used in the past. So I think putting that on the minutes, even if we just phrase over it, is a pretty good idea.
Okay,
So,
okay. The
Okay,
piece of
so
sidewalk I've heard about was from where the Rusty Relic is now to Evelina's. That's the sidewalk I've heard about.
I had heard in the past about, correct, but her
We
idea
can find out about this other one.
would be excellent.
Now, Stuart, did you want to try to squeeze anything else before we get unplugged?
I don't think so. I think we've got it. I mean, we're still, I have not had the time to coordinate with Advanced CT. That is in the works. The last thing I'll leave you with is that I'm working on this permitting guide to try to help give to people like that came to the meeting tonight to, break it down, what the steps are, basically what to follow, what to look for, and try to help Tina's job from the get-go, just to have an illustration of what to expect when you go and start.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a super idea. I did see a draft that you had done. So you're off to a really good start.
okay. Make a movement to adjourn. Everything, and anything else? Okay, should we make a motion to adjourn?
I think we should. You just did.
Okay, second.
Second,
Aye.
My
Bye, guys.
computer says 7:02.
have a good night.
Have a good
Bye, you
night.
too.